Hi friends, welcome to Offer Studies YouTube channel. This is part 46 in JSON in Python playlist. In this video, we are going to discuss about JSON in Python. That means how to work with the JSON in Python. How to convert if you have a JSON string, how to convert that to Python objects. And if you have a Python objects, then how to convert them to JSON string. And also how to format the JSON and other things. Okay, so JSON is actually, I hope most of the people already knows. If you don't know, you can search in online or YouTube once to know what is JSON. JSON is nothing but like a JavaScript object notation first. Okay, so what I mean is usually in Python, by this time you know how the dictionary will be, right? So it is similar to like that. So JSON syntax will be something like this. So you will be having a open bracket and also you will be having a close lower bracket like similar to dictionary, and you will be having a key value pairs here. For example, here like let's assume name is a key, and inside the name the value is maybe like Mahir. Okay, so this is the value, and then comma, and then another key. Okay, so now next key is maybe like gender. Okay, and inside the gender key you may have value. So this same kind of the dictionary syntax what you see, right? So this is like a JavaScript object notation, JSON syntax. So this is like a data actually. So usually in web applications and in the APIs, right, whenever the data will get exchanged between the servers or between the applications, usually data will get exchanged in the JSON format only. Okay, so to store the data and also to exchange the data, JSON is very widely used across the industry. Okay, and it is like a text and JavaScript object notation syntax. Okay, so you can think for now like it's like a same the way how you create a dictionary, the same way you create a JSON with a open floor bracket, close floor bracket, and key value pairs. Okay, so Python has built-in package for this JSON actually. So for example, if you want to work with the JSON strings, then there is a built-in package called JSON. Okay, so when I practically show you this, you will make sense of it. For example, if you see this example, if you see here from here to here, you may think like this is a dictionary, but this entire dictionary is inside this single quotes. That means it is a string basically, and this string data is in JSON format. If you see this data is in JSON format, key value pairs, right? So this is like a JSON string. This is not a dictionary. Why? Because this entire string is covered with this single quotes. That means it is a string which has a data like a JSON type of data. Okay, and if you want to convert this JSON string into Python object, then inside this module called JSON, you need to use this loads method. So this loads method or function will take any JSON string and convert into Python object. So in this case, if you see this string, this entire string is nothing but like a this is like, if you see, this is like a dictionary, right? So this will be converted into dictionary object. So when I practically show you this, you will make sense of it. So let me go to my Visual Studio Code here. Let me remove this code here. So if you want to work with JSON, you need to import this inbuilt module called JSON. So let me import this JSON inbuilt module here, and then let me do this console window. Let me try to move to right side here like this. Okay, so now here in this demo.python file, I imported my JSON module. So let's create a variable called x maybe. So inside this variable, I am going to store one string. What type of string it is? It is like JSON type of string. So open bracket, floor bracket, and then here let's assume one first key is name, which has a value like Mahir maybe. Okay, so let me pass the mail, and then let's try to use another key here, maybe gender. Okay, and inside this gender, I am going to store a key value called male. Okay, so let me save this. So this is like a string. So and JSON type of string, this is not a dictionary. That is the reason, if I try to do like this, if it is a dictionary, what you can do on top of the dictionary variable, you can use this indexed syntax and you can pass the key there. For example, if I pass a name here, it will give Mahir, something like that. But if I do the same thing on this x variable, now it won't work. Let me save these changes here and let me run this code here. If you see, it is giving error here. So at line number 5 it is giving error. The reason is this x variable does not contain a dictionary. It contains a JSON string, and on the JSON string you cannot use this indexes, something like this. So what you need to do is you need to convert this JSON string into Python object first. So how to convert that? Inside this JSON module you have something called loads. So this loads function will help you to take any JSON string and convert that into the Python object. See, if you this JSON string is inside this x variable, right? So I am supplying that x variable into the loads function. It will take this entire JSON string and convert into Python object. And if you see the string value here, this is like a dictionary kind of thing, right? So it will convert into a dictionary. So let me save this back into a variable called y. And now to make sure whether this variable y is y got a dictionary or not, what I can do here, I can try to use this type function, type of y. Let's try to get type of y here, control S to save the changes. And now here if I execute my Python file, one second, let me execute this. See, it is saying it is a dictionary type, right? Why? Because now this entire string converted back into a dictionary type. Why? Because the string data itself is like a dictionary. Okay, and if I use not like this, let's assume I don't use this inside this JSON string, maybe I will use something like this. Okay, maybe here like so this is like a list, right, in Python language, but here as a JSON string I am passing a list here, like maybe ABCD, and then here XYZ. So let me save these changes. Now let's try to get the type of y. I am converting this x into y. I am converting this string into JSON, from JSON type to normal Python object, and doing that. So let me save these changes, and now if I run this code, see, it is saying it is a type of list, right? Why? Because list of the JSON type will converted into the list back into the Python object. Okay, so this loads function will actually help you to take the JSON strings and convert back into the Python object. So we see in that just now. Okay, and the same thing I have explained here also. And if I go to the next slide, for example, let's assume you have a Python object. For example, if you see this x variable, it is not a JSON string, it is a dictionary, right? It is not inside any single quotes. So it is a dictionary, that means it is a Python object. So this Python object, if I want to convert back into the JSON string, what I can do, I can use this dump function. Using this dump function, I can convert this entire dictionary object into the JSON string. So let me practically show you this. I am doing a reverse now actually. So previously, if you remember, just now what I did, I converted this string, JSON string, into the Python object, which is dictionary type. Now what I will do, I will have a Python object here. I will remove this single quotes. Now this is a dictionary type of object, and this object I want to convert using this dumps function. Okay, dum. So this is like a dump. Yes means string. Okay, and to that I am passing my x variable, that is my dictionary object, and then I am trying to convert back into the JSON string. Now if you see the type of y, it is going to print like a string. Why? Because it is a string, right? JSON string. Let me see that. See, now it came as a string. That means it is not a dictionary anymore. If I try to access something like this, y of name or something, it won't work. So let me practically show you. If I say like y of name, I should use a single quotes there, right? Inside the key I should pass in a single quotes. So let me save these changes. Now if I run this, it is going to fail. Why? Because y is not a dictionary object, so there is no key called name. Okay, and if the same thing I did here, and if I say x of name, it will work. Why? Because x is a JSON Python object, which is a dictionary type, and I am using a key name to get the value. So let me save these changes. Now if I run this code, see, I got the value back as a Mahir. Okay, so this dumps function will help you to take any Python object and convert back into the JSON string. Okay, so if I go to the next slide, here I have listed the conversions. For example, in the Python, if you have a dictionary, then in the JSON it will become JSON string or JSON object. Just now we seen. If you have a list, it is like an array actually. If you have a tuple, even tuple will get converted as an array. Okay, I will show you this practically. String will get converted into string. Int means number in the JSON. Float means also number in the JSON. True will become true. That is like there are like billion values, and none is like empty or nothing in the Python, right? Which will become null in the in JSON language. Let me practically show you this. If you see this example here, I am importing the JSON module, and there is a variable called x which contains a dictionary. Inside this dictionary, if you see, name is a key which contains a string as a value. Age is a key which contains number or integer as a value, right? Married is a key which contains boolean true as a value. Diverse which contains boolean false as value. Children is like, this is like a tuple, right? So it contains tuple here. If you have this kind of bracket, that is like a tuple, and this is like a none, pets none. Okay, and if you see the cars, this is like a list, right? From here to here, this is list, and inside the list you have two more dictionary objects in inner dictionary objects, and again inside this model is a key which has a value of this one. MPG is a key which has a value of this float number, right? So if you see this entire thing is like a JSON objects, right? As a values, and entirely it is a JSON object. Now the moment I convert this into the JSON string, this entire thing is like a Python objects, right? So now if I convert that Python objects into the JSON string using this dump function, what will happen? Wherever you see this none, it will become null, and wherever you see tuple, that will become array or list. If you see here, array, tuple also will become array, and list also will become array. Array and list looks like similar only, like same thing, like this kind of brackets will be there for array and list. Okay, so let me practically show you this to make sense. So let me go to notepad. Here I have already have my code. Let me copy this Python code here, and let me go to my demo.py file. Let me remove this. Let me paste this code here. Let me save these changes. Let me remove this here. And if you see this code, I am importing the JSON module, and X is a variable which contains a Python object of dictionary type, and inside this every key has a different type of data. So this is like string, this is integer, this is boolean, this is tuple, right? And this is like none, and this is again list, right? So now let's try to let me save these changes, and if I execute this demo.python file now, if you closely observe, now name is John, right? If you see, so this entire thing whatever you are seeing here, it is not a dictionary object anymore, it is a string, JSON string. If you want to make sense of it, you can use type of it as well. So let me do this. So let me use type of. So if I try to get the type of that object whatever it is getting written, you will see it as a string. Actually, see, it is a string, it is not a dictionary object. Now let me remove this type of. Let me remove this type of function. I don't want to see the type. I just entered it to make you sense. It is a string, it is not a dictionary anymore, it is a JSON string. Now let me clear this, and if I rerun this code, if you see here closely observe this true, Mary is true, it capital T here, right? But here it is a small tree. This is like a in JSON boolean representation. Okay, and if you see none, this is like a Python representation. In JSON, none will be represented as a null. And if you see, this is like a tuple right here in the JSON, in the Python object. And if you see here, it came as a list here, or array. Sorry, I should not say list. In the JSON language, it is a array. Okay, it came as a array, right? So this the same thing I have explained here in the slide as well. If I go to the slide, see, you can see the tuple will come as a array, right? So if I go to the code now once again, now this JSON string representation is not that much readable. I want it to be much readable, something like this, how it is appearing here. So how I can do that? I can add a indentation here into this dumps function. I can pass this indent key value, maybe 4 spaces I want to keep indent after every key and value. So let me save these changes. Now if I run this code, you will see JSON is properly formatted. See here, properly formatted, none become null, and this children became array. It is a tuple object in the Python, but here it became array and everything, right? Not only this, for example, if you see here, this is separators here, and also here you have a, for every key value you have a comma and space, and here also for every key value pair in middle you have this colon symbol. If you want to change this to equals to, and here at the end of the key value you want to have full stop and then space, all this is all that also will be possible. What you can do for that, you can use this separators key, and for this separators parameter inside this dumps function, you need to pass what the separators you want to use in a tuple syntax, in a tuple format you need to pass. For the interest of the time, I already have that code here. So let me take this tuple from here, let me copy this, and if I go to Visual Studio Code, for the separators parameter key I am passing that. If you see, I am trying to say at the end of key value pair use this dot and space, and then in the middle of the key value use this equals to symbols. So let me save these changes, and if I run this code now, if you closely observe, between the key and values you see this equals to symbol, and at the end of the key value pair you see this dot and space, right? Previously it is a different, right? Usually don't in real time you never use these separators, because usually the JSON representation will be like this only with the colons and commas. Okay, not only this, maybe let's assume you want to format this, you want to format in such a way that it will be sorted order. To do that, you can use another parameter here, which is like sort keys actually. So let me type that. So let me type that here, right? What I can do, I can enter my sort keys. So for this sort keys I can pass true. So what this will do, this is going to sort the data. Okay, so here let me pass this true, right? So I should use this true. Let me save this. So what this will do, this will sort the elements inside the JSON. For example, first element is name here, and then age, and then married, right? It will sort them. First age will come, and then yeah, see, children will come, something like that. So let me save these changes. Now if I run this code here, see, first age came, then cars, then children, right? The sorted information, the keys are sorted basically. So you can sort that as well. All this is possible. Okay, so let me go to presentation. So yeah, these are the separators. what we used and sort keys what we use, and this indent to get the proper formatting of the JSON. We have seen all this, right? So that's it in this video. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get the notification whenever I add videos. Thank you so much.